Welcome to the Money Line, everybody. Back at it with my man Matt Vaters. What's up, Matty boy?
Oh no, just tuning in, watching some sports highlights here. We got a late Blue Jays game going on here, so I was just checking the score and my hair here. Got the
You're
COVID
looking
flow
good.
going on. It's almost
Dude,
similar to Bo Bichette, eh? So
that's pretty
I'm
close.
working on the bow flow now.
It's
But
pretty
no, it's
beautiful.
10 o'clock here Eastern time. So just seeing what's happened in the sporting world, and obviously the Jays are in Oakland, so I was just tuning in a little bit there.
Nice. All right. Well, before we get going, I just wanted to start the show off. We're going to dedicate this one to our fallen boy, Aaron Duval, who we lost suddenly last week. Today was actually would have been his 34th birthday. So we're going to dedicate this to him and just a fantastic young man, really good friend of ours, and big fan of the show. So I wanted to start the show with a quote that he said about us. As I said, he was a big fan. He listened to us and liked us a lot. He said one time to me, nothing more, and I'm not going to fully quote this right, but there's nothing more that I love than listening to you two idiots talk about sports. So,
I do recall something like that, but you know what? It was nice that he tuned in and supported us. And obviously,
yeah,
we did lose him, unfortunately. And I did see that it was his 34th birthday today. So this will be dedicated to Aaron for sure. So two idiots
that's,
just talking about sports.
that's right. So I just want to take a second and take a thought about Mr. Duval. I just happen to have a non-sponsored Bush here, my boy's favorite. To you, Mr. Duval.
That is awesome.
Two idiots talking about sports. Let's go. Welcome to the Money Line, and always in our hearts, brother. So we'll start off with well, we got a game going live right now, so why don't we talk a little bit about those Bluebirds? Got the jersey on, showing my support.
Yeah. So what are they? They 500 right now?
I think they're
Um,
a game of no, I think you're right. I think they're 500.
yeah. And you know what? The team surprised me, to be quite honest. They've been depleted with injuries. We just found out, about 20 minutes ago, Springer's back on the IL, which is unfortunate. I thought they were taking their time with him coming back here, and he only played 4 games. Hit a couple home runs on that Saturday game for sure, which was nice.
They look
But
good.
man, they seem to get injuries after injuries after injuries. But you know what? We're 500 despite that. We got Nate Pearson very close to coming back. We need to get this guy some innings. Um,
Well, I don't know if you saw he started the season opener for Buffalo yesterday. K'd 8 in 3 2/3.
I
So
did see that, so that was a promising sign for sure. That just means he'll be up with the big club. I would imagine
hopefully
probably get
so.
one more start down there, maybe two, and see him up here. But the Jays bullpen has really surprised me. I don't know what their ERA is now, but I looked probably last week or the week before, and they were doing quite well, near the top of the league for sure. So that was really nice to see. Um, but I got one question for you, and we see it all over the internet, James, about the Jays.
Hmm.
That left side of that infield, Biggio and Bichette. What do you do? And I know what I want to do, but I want to ask your opinion.
Okay.
So
Well, there's a lot of chat there, right? It's interesting. I've had a couple thoughts on this. The one common thought that's been going around is getting Simeon at short. So I don't mind that. Here's the other thing, though. I kind of, if Bo's your future shortstop and that's who you're keeping there, then let him ride it out. Simeon's only got a 1 year contract, but my thought would be to move Simeon to third, maybe. Because Biggio has a little more experience at second. He kind of looks a little more comfortable there. Yeah, he's not really making that. The arm strength to me isn't quite there for that third to first throw. He just doesn't look as comfortable. You got Simeon there. kind of backing Bo up. I think that that's a wiser choice to me personally. I know that Simeon's got a lot more experience at short and then second. I don't know. I think there's something to be said to maybe give a shot at Simeon at short and try something like that. But it's a tough call, right? Like
And
it's a tough one.
so my philosophy is we're only 14 and 14, 28 games in. They got to give it at least another 40, 50 games,
Yeah.
at least get to the halfway point. But they're professionals in the game. They know what they're doing. And I'm talking with the coaching staff as well. But man, I've watched a couple games and it's like, oh, grounder to like third short, and you're like, oh, they like boot the ball around or they just make mistakes, or an error, right? And you can't be having that late in the game if the game's close. But you know what? The season's long. They're young. They will learn. I just don't want to try the Simeon at short or third just yet. But that's my take on it for sure.
Yeah,
So
I'm with you on there. I like that, but I don't think Biggio's I don't see him as a long-term third baseman. I just don't see it. Maybe there's something I'm missing there, but I do. I'm surprised about the errors with Bichette so far. To be honest, because he's always had a pretty solid glove. He's been a pretty elite defender for the most part. I'm just kind of surprised about some of the mistakes. Now, the other thing that we got to think about it is Bo, our long-term shortstop, because we have Mr. Austin Martin. That probably isn't far off from coming up. I mean, not this year, but in the very near future. And I know this kid's phenomenal, and they could put him anywhere in the field. But again, we talked about the depth of this team, which is great. The Jays' depth is deep. The Jays' depth is deep. But again, we have these injuries and all this going on, so it'd just be really interesting to see. Like you mentioned before the show, we'll talk about it now, is maybe the possibility of trading Grichuk, who's been phenomenal for them so far. And again, with the injury to Springer, you need him now, right? Everybody's talking about that outfield, and it was too deep, and all it takes is an injury to be like, well, we're in a good spot now.
Well, Grichuk is kind of taking it up on his own, and basically, I have to be playing if I want to be in this lineup. And he's surprising people, definitely earning a spot on the team. And you're right. Now with Springer down, we are going to see Grichuk step it up. And I believe he had one of the ribbies there in the first inning.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
So, he's just adding to his stats. I remember last time I checked, I think he was hitting 286, which it is awesome. Now, talking about hitting, how does Danny Jansen still have a job with the Toronto Blue Jays is what I want to know.
Well, he might not for long, because McGuire started tonight and they just called him back up. So I didn't even think he was going to be anywhere near this team anymore. So
I got a few comments I'm going to just keep to myself. I'm not going to say them on air, but I was a Reese fan. But I feel bad for Jansen because he was so I just don't know if it's in his head. I almost want to tell him to take his glasses off and maybe he'll do better. I don't know, obviously if he has contacts or something, but he's just in such a slump. What is it? The last time I checked, it was 0 for 35.
It's bad. You wonder, man.
He has to have had a hit recently to at least break that, but it says I just did a quick search and it says his bat wakes up with 2 hits here 3 days ago. So he's definitely so he busted an 0 for 35 slump at the dish, going 2 for 3 with a walk. But maybe with taking a day off from tonight that he'll turn it around. But our buddy Kirk there landed on the DL, which was unfortunate.
Yeah, it's tough. Well, let's talk about that. The Jays' injuries, we kind of mentioned that and touched on it a second ago, but man, does this team ever get hurt? It's getting ridiculous.
They got to look into the training staff or something, because they're doing something wrong with diet or, not training. And thank goodness we have Ryu coming back tomorrow off the DL. He only missed the one start. But we got Springer back on. We had Merriweather, who started the year off with lightning stuff, throwing over triple digits, and now he got transferred to the 60-day DL today. So that means the middle of June, which still isn't bad. We look at that.
No.
That's 5 weeks away. But
anytime you see somebody hit the 60-day DL, though, it's kind of it takes a little wind out of your sails, because that, that's about as high as you can go on it anyway. I'm pretty sure, right? There's nothing higher than that. So
it definitely is. But hopefully he's keeping his mental game strong, and he can come back from that injury.
He looked good. He looked really good.
Well, he took the closer job. Like, what was his first save? Like three strikeouts, struck out the side in New York, I believe. So, but yeah, we've had so many injuries to this team. Tellez is even sent down to get more at bats too, because he was struggling. So you know what? I think overall with the Jays, we got to be extremely thankful to be even 500. With the injuries, with the slumps to Tellez and Jansen. Not that we're expecting a huge amount out of Jansen, but like 0 for 35. Come on.
Well, so the thing is, he was supposed to be a solid, like a top bat as a catcher. And that just hasn't really panned out. Like you said, it could be a mental thing. Who knows? But yeah, that bat, I mean, you can kind of allow a little subpar with a catcher, but when you're meant to have a solid bat and you're hitting under 100, it's not really good.
But you know what? And we got to appreciate the Jays record even more. And you know what? I have to give you kudos to this, because you have mentioned it on a few episodes, and it's because of Guerrero. Guerrero is, you did come out and say he was going to have an MVP type season, and here he is. He's, in my books, top 5 in MVP voting right now. Don't ask me who the other 4 are, but he's definitely in the top 5 for sure. In the way the team's 14-14 with all their injuries. So, and yeah, he's been just playing at a whole other level. Kind of flirting around near like high 300s. You haven't seen an average in Jays this deep into the season for a while. With that many at bats, he just looks good. He looks so confident at the plate. I can't talk enough about him. I talk about him every episode. He looks phenomenal. But speaking of that MVP thing, now we should bring up Mr. Shohei Ohtani, because he did something that we haven't seen in almost 100 years. A pitcher getting the start who was leading the league in home runs. This guy, we heard a lot about him a couple of years ago. He was dealing with a couple injuries. Now we're getting to see what this kid's all about. Man, is he talented. He's something else. Like, can you imagine being a pitcher and leading the league in home runs? Like, that is pretty remarkable for sure. And what talent on his end that's just remarkable. So
the dude had, I think he's 27 to 28 years old. Let me just pull out his rookie card right here and take a look. I think he's where are we? 94. He was born in 94. What's that? So I think he just turned 27.
To be 27, yeah.
Yeah. So he that's crazy. He has the potential, this guy, to be like a Cy Young and MVP, and not just as like an MVP pitcher, like MVP with the bat and Cy Young winner. Like, he's that good. It's you wondered, right? There was all this hype. I remember a couple of years ago, him coming in, so much hype around this guy. And you're like, he came in, he's like, okay, well, yeah, he can do it both. And if he can do, if he could be a decent batter and a good pitcher, that's amazing. But for him to be, you don't usually see guys come from Japan and be that dominant. Like, he can look untouchable at times.
Yeah, and that's honestly amazing, and got to give a lot of kudos to him. So that's a fun
team. Like, the Angels have had just the worst luck, and Mike Trout, quite possibly, and in most people's eyes, going to be the GOAT. Already is in a lot of people's eyes, and hasn't had much not only playoff success, much success making it to the playoffs. that team's starting to have some guys beside them. Like the Angels haven't really ever been a sexy team. They're just like not there. But man, with those two dudes, like that's must watch TV now, man. Like watch an Angels game and like these guys are good.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got a young pitching staff over there too.
Very.
Like I think it's Andrew Henney. We got Dylan Bundy.
Right. Griffin Cannon or
yeah. So it's an interesting team for sure, and it'd be nice to see Trout get into some playoff ball. And I just checked Trout's average this year. I didn't realize how good he was doing. His average is 402 right now.
Yeah, when you were talking about the other five and the list, as always, Mr. Mike Trout, like just looking unstoppable. Fernando Tatis too. He went down and looked like he was in trouble, but boy, is that guy crushing the ball too. And Acuna Jr., these young guys, man, it's like the young kids are, these guys in their third, fourth years are really coming to their own.
Yeah, and they always say it takes a little bit of time, get some games under your belt. And yeah, it is for sure. I really like watching, not that I get to watch them very much, but the Padres. I really like that team, between the Machado, the Tatis. I think it's Tommy Pham came from Tampa Bay. He doesn't get to play every day, and then throw in their pitching staff. I forgot that San Diego got Yu Darvish.
Yeah.
And I believe he's on the mound tonight because I think I'm playing against him in one of my fantasy leagues. But yeah, and Joe Musgrove had their no-hitter for them earlier this year. I think it was the first one in franchise history. So
really,
I believe I read that. Yeah. So a lot of that's a fun team to watch. Young. Yeah. If you don't have a favorite sports team, go grab a Padres jersey because you'll look good. But you know what? Talking about good little outings and stuff, I've got to congratulate John Means of Baltimore, who threw a no-hitter today. And I don't know how this guy ended up on my team, but he's had a couple shaky starts. But I remember his first start, he went 7 innings, got me the win and 6 Ks or something. So I looked into it, when was the no-hitter and I didn't even find out what had happened. He was one pitch. Well, I guess you don't even got to say one pitch away from a perfect game. But how was it? I think I read it was a strike 3, and the guy made it to first. Yeah, that's what had happened. It was a strikeout. It must have been like a wild pitch, and the guy made it to first. That was the only person to reach base. So can you imagine?
That's the weirdest way to lose a perfect game, eh?
And I'm sure it's happened before, but I just that's just crazy. So,
wow.
Yeah,
that's wild. Yeah, man. It's who was it? Man, I should know this. I remember because it was somebody threw a no hitter the other day, but it was on a double header, so it was only 7 innings, so it doesn't go down in the books.
That's gonna bug me because it was the first one ever. Obviously, because of that rule.
Yeah.
So talking about rules, Jamie, as everyone knows, we don't have anything scripted here. What's your thoughts on that runner on second in the extra innings?
I'll be honest with you, I don't really like it. I find it weak. It's like little league or like beer league thing, right? Like. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think it belongs in Major League Baseball. You figure it out. You really should. I get it. You're trying to speed up that's all they want to do is speed up the games constantly. But I don't like it. They're playing around with the game too much. They're talking about bigger bases now and robot umps and like changing the ball and everything else. Like, come on, just leave it alone, guys. It's not. The game's the game.
And I'm with you as well. I'm not a big fan of it. It's just so weird. I was watching the game the other night. I don't know which one it was. And it's like, oh, okay, the last out guy runs out to second base. And I'm like, I just don't get it. There's so much going on and strategy involved, which is, I don't know. And then if the first team doesn't score, you can almost guarantee that the home team will score because runner on second, nobody out, lay a bunt down. I know there's still the chance he could pop it out but it just takes away from the game. You battle for 9 innings, keep battling. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's what
don't
I
know.
think too. And I think most purists, or probably most people in general, will agree with that. I mean, if you like it, let us know. But I'd love to hear your comments on it. But yeah, for me, I'm not a fan. I'm not really digging it. And like you said, you should be able to bring that run in every time. Lay the bunt down, sack fly,
Yeah.
easy money. You know, like that's baseball 101. Just score that runner. It shouldn't be too hard.
And
But
another thing we'll talk about before we jump sports here. I know we've been talking a lot about baseball, 20 minutes in. You know what? I do see them going to these robotic umps. The umps have been making a lot of bad calls. But you know what? I
yeah,
like that human element to the game. You know, that, oh, the umpire's strike zone for this game is a little wider or a little higher, lower, or, it's narrower. That's all part of the game. And, you know, I just, I don't know. You'll see a lot more, I feel, walks, a lot more runs if we go to robotic umps because it's got to be perfect, right? So
yeah.
it'll be tough to be a pitcher then. So I
Also,
hope they delay the robotic umps.
yeah, I mean, it's already tough enough with the replays on every close play and everything else. Like robotic umps, it sounds like it's going to happen, and yeah, I'm not digging it. I know that some umps, it's they have different strike zones and everything else. You don't often see like huge favoritism going one way. Like, sure, it happens, I guess, but yeah, they're really gonna make it tough. Like, what are the catchers gonna do? You can't be framing balls anymore when there's a robotic. Like, when they're, it's gonna have to be right on the plate. However they do that. And,
Yeah, there'll be
uh,
so much that changes for the game for sure. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm not looking forward to that change at all.
no, yeah, a lot of weird rules and stuff being happening in baseball, and it's just kind of unfortunate. But on that note, I guess we can move on to sports, as you say, unless there was anything else you wanted to touch on there.
No, no, I think we can move on for sure.
So I think this is probably the next pressing issue we need to talk about is them boys and the other boys in blue, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who starting to look like a well, I mean, the dominant team that we have come to sort of expect this season. And the reinforcements are here. The team's pretty much as deep as it can be now, and I'd say look out, NHL, at this point. Like, they're getting hot. Thornton, everybody. Well, we were talking about it. The conversation of who do you sit, who this and that, and we said it, and it's almost like a clockwork with some of the stuff we call. But we're talking about people were calling for Thornton and Spezza to be sitting, and they didn't really like. They're too slow and didn't belong there. And look who's been stepping it up and dominating those late small minute roles. And Thornton and Spezza, man, looking good, putting some big numbers up, and like just playing with a little more drive. Those are going to be your heart and soul in the playoffs, man. Those guys sitting on the fourth line, getting limited minutes, power play time, like those are going to be your heart and soul when it comes down to it.
And it's going to be like, I still don't even know who's going to sit. They've been just, taking maintenance days. Foligno was hurt for last game. So you're starting to see them, rest, and they want to be ready. But, we haven't talked about Riley Nash. It's, like, he's
So that's
back
who
now.
was right on my head right there. I
Yeah.
was just about to
So
talk about him.
this team is deep in the forward position. Um, Now, there's one person while we're talking here that I want to just look up here because I forget when he's coming back, and he's on a forward, but it's Zach Bogosian on defense.
Hmm.
And I know we need him back. He's been really impressed me. I believe he took a 1 year, $1 million contract, and it'd be nice to know when he's coming back for sure. But mind you, with that being said, I've kind of like seeing, Sandine, I feel, has really stepped up. So
They,
that'll be.
they're 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 deep all around, man. There's the one thing that we've been talking, or not we, but the whole Leaf Nation has been talking about for years is the lack of depth on defense, and just like besides that number one line D, they just have not had the guys, and they have them now, man. Like that's solid. Morgan Riley, Jake Muzzin, um, you got TJ Brody, like
And
it's.
Justin Hall is no stranger. I still
Oh,
think that
he's been good too. Yeah.
was a good signing. I think it was 3 years, but that was a good signing to get him. I just looked up Bogosian, and on the 23rd of April, it said he'd be out 4 weeks with a shoulder injury. So that's saying they'll miss the first round of the playoffs, which, I think we're going to. Is it Montreal we're looking to draw? Or is
It's
it
looking
Winnipeg?
like it, and they're starting to kind of get hot. It's going to be a cool little race to see what happens here down the stretch. I'm really excited about this. I'm still not 100% sure how the playoffs are going to roll out when it comes down to it, with the bubble and without the bubble, what's going to happen with the Canadian division and how all that's going to happen. But it's going to be super exciting. This I love this Canadian division. And if not for it's scary with the Leafs because this division's tight. It's tough, and there's some really good teams. And yes, Toronto has looked phenomenal, and you kind of expect them to come out of this, but we're still the Leafs, and we still haven't won a playoff round in quite some time. So there's still some monkeys to get off the back here, and a lot of things got to go the right way. But man, they look good. There's
I,
talk of Anderson coming back now too. I don't know if you were about to say something else. But
well, no, I was just going to say I'd be shocked if they don't get out of the first round, even if we draw Montreal. I know Montreal has Carey Price possibly having a chance to play either Thursday or Saturday against the Leafs. Um, but he can steal a series on its own. But we should be able to beat Montreal in 5 or 6 games, get a little bit of rest, and hopefully Bogosian's back. And I don't know what to do if I'm the Leafs because I believe Freddie Anderson is is he playing with the Marlies tomorrow night?
I didn't hear that. That could be. I know that it sounded like promising stuff. He hit the ice. He was practicing, so maybe he might be.
Yeah, I believe he is playing with the Marlies tomorrow. So, um, yeah, it says Anderson to play minor league game in next step to return to Maple Leafs. So, and we all know that there's going to be no salary cap once the playoffs come. Um, we have a few other teams taking advantage of this, like the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are going to have Kucherov back. Oh my goodness, that team could be so dangerous.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, um, what else do we want to talk about in regards to the?
Well, there's a couple things that I want to talk about still with the Leafs. For one, Austin Matthews is a man possessed right now. Going to run away with the Rocket Richard Trophy. And there was a thing that I was reading the other day, quite interesting. He went a month when he came back from that wrist injury, where he just wasn't shooting the puck the way he can and everything else. And I think he only scored three goals in like that span once he came back from injury. And can you imagine if that dude was healthy the whole season and didn't mess his wrist up?
Yeah, he is having a remarkable year for sure, and he makes it look so easy. That release is just so nice, and he can just take over a game. He's got that confidence now, but you know what? We just mentioned it. It has to turn into a playoff success. He can't disappear in the playoffs. So,
which we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Now, yeah, go ahead.
No, I really don't know what I was going to say.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens in the playoffs, because at the end of the day, all these stats and all this stuff and all the scoring and records and everything else is fun, but if you don't win in the playoffs, it really doesn't matter. That's what it all comes down to. So it'll be, again, this team, man, I'm super excited to see what they do in the playoffs. They have some guys that are, like, who doesn't want to see Joe Thornton win a cup? Like, I mean, put your hands up. I don't think there's too many. The dude is a legend. He's been around forever. He's kind of been snake bitten in the playoffs. Just has had those fantastic teams with the Sharks. Just they could never get to the next level. This man, I can't say enough about this Leafs team. It looks phenomenal. Dubas has done a ridiculous job putting this team together, and they have all the pieces to win. Like we wanted to talk. There's still another thing I want to talk about here, but because I'm trying to segue in, like we were going to talk about Tom Wilson, and that kind of sandpaper and that kind of grit in the playoffs is what you need. And the Leafs just have not had that in a long time. And now they got a bunch of it. You know, you got Simmons, you got Foligno, you got Muzzin, you got all these dudes that can just Bogosian. These guys can bang, and nobody's getting pushed around.
Well, and you're right about that. We've seen in some playoff series in the past where we get pushed around. But you know what? If you throw out a fourth line that has Foligno, Nash, and Simmons, and you know what? One guy I'm going to throw out there that don't be surprised if he cracks this lineup just because he is totally nuts is Danny Sabrin, or however you can say it. He's played a little bit. Now, we would have to have a few injuries for him to crack the lineup. But if things got a little rough, the guy is nuts, as we know. And that it's just funny. I still think of the story. Was it last year or the year before when Matthews had to look on the back of his jersey to say, who are you? Kind of thing. And then he ends up with the Leafs and stuff. So it's pretty slim that he makes a playoff game. But if he does, he's like a banger. We put out there that Foligno, Nash, and Simmons. And these guys are veterans. They know what their role is. Make sure you're finishing your checks to wear down the defenseman for a 7-game series. And so then our guys can go in there and, hopefully win the close games for sure. So absolutely.
And I love that. And you think of that, like, who would want to play against that line? You hear that and you don't think too much of it, but man, you're not going to get many chances with playing against a line like that. That's like the ultimate shutdown line. And, they still have maybe the opportunity to score, but they don't even need to go in, tire the guys out, bang up shut down the front, the top of scorers on the other team. That's a solid line. And the Leafs, again, they got that depth. They have those kind of guys, man. Riley Nash might be the unsung hero of this, that he's been really flying under the radar. You don't hear many people talk about him. But again, they went and picked up, they did what the Bulls did back in the early 90s, and they picked up these guys that have haunted them in the past. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, man.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. So I'm looking forward to it as well once the playoffs come. Do we even know when they start? So
I'm not sure. We're nearing, what do we got, like about 10 games left?
No.
Not even? No, not even. No. There's like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, they're done this Saturday. So the playoffs will start next week. Our next episode, we'll be talking about, first round matchups and, cup contenders, which I'd like to talk briefly about today. So, but yeah, yep, go ahead.
The one thing that I want to talk about when I was on the Matthews thing, so the Matthews-Connor debate has been going on, and I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I don't think there's much of a debate. A lot of people are talking about Matthews possibly winning the Hart, but there just can't be any way. Connor McDavid is an absolute beast. He's 28 points ahead of anybody not named Leon Draisaitl, and how do you he's got 30 points on Matthews right now. I don't know how you debate that. Matthews is scoring like a machine, but again, these you want to go paper to paper on teams there. Connor has got to be MVP.
He's not even close. Connor, yeah. It's a landslide. How many points does McDavid have? I'm hoping he hits 100.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. I think he's got 93. I believe he's got 93.
So you'd have to put up a few points the last 2 games, maybe.
Yeah, which he could do. I mean, it was cool to we're hoping to see a McDavid 100-point season and a Matthews 40-point season, and we'll be watching right till the end of the year because they're both very close. Matthews, I'd imagine, will do it. You'd hope. He's got 2 kicks at it and just needs 1 goal.
Yeah, exactly.
But McDavid's a man possessed. That guy could snipe 10, and it wouldn't surprise me. He's a beast.
I'm hoping he does because I have McDavid and Nugent Hopkins in my pool, and I'm in the finals. So it'd be nice to see, check the scores and see a couple 7-3 games for Edmonton over their last couple for sure. So.
And so let's talk. You were going to talk cup contenders, and I guess we can talk a little playoff matchups and where we see this going. We might as well talk about it now.
Yeah, so I just want to talk briefly. We had mentioned probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I just randomly threw out there, Florida, 18 times. I really like this team. Well, you know what, Jamie? Check momentarily before we got on here. They are now the 4th favorite to win the cup. I didn't jump on to see what the odds are, but they have dropped dramatically as they are now the top 4 in the top 4 favorites to win the cup. So, and
You heard it here first, like you do, folks. MoneyLine, listen up.
yeah,
Listen to Mr. Vaters when he's calling a bet.
but you know what? I didn't place it. And we were talking that we should have threw a unit or 2 units on it, and we're going to start doing that more often when we say stuff here like that.
We'll put our money where our mouths are.
Yeah. And so that brings me to just talk a little bit about the cup. The favorites, they're thinking a Colorado and Washington final. So I was a little bit surprised that Washington would edge out the Leafs, and maybe it's the Wilson factor. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there tonight because he's a very wanted man tonight. So, but yeah, I really think, and maybe it's just past experience, and Washington's been doing well, and Leafs haven't got out of the first round, right? So they get that edge. So you know what? Colorado, Washington, Toronto, and Florida. Wow. Even if Florida makes it to the conference finals, I feel like it did well. So
that's a great call. And you know what? We talked about it a little bit before too, and goaltending, and you think Bobrovsky, if he just does his thing and play, like he's kind of slipped, right? Like he'd been a dominant, like top 3 goalie forever. And he's kind of gone under the radar in Florida again. And you never know, like that guy could just become a man possessed in the playoffs again and steal some series. And
so you know what, James, I'm going to disagree, and it doesn't even have to be all Bobrovsky because they have Chris Dreiger, who I'm going to say it right now will be the goalie for the Seattle Kraken. Is that what they're called? No.
Yeah. Kraken.
Yeah. All right. So he's going to. I just see it right now. Another Jordan Binnington story. Gets hot down the road near the end of the season, takes over. He won't take over Bobrovsky's job, but Bobrovsky loses the first 2 games in round 1. Boom, let's put Dreiger. I think I'm saying it right, and he takes over. So we've seen worse things happen. I've definitely been wrong, and I've definitely been right. So let's flip a coin. So for sure, but
I like that.
I'll be watching. I will be, and I'm going to say it now, and I will do it. I will make a playoff bracket and have Florida winning it all against the Leafs. Okay, I'm saying it now. Ooh. Florida and wait, are they in the same division? Is that even possible?
I don't think they can play each other.
No, they can't. You're right. So I'm saying, oh no, they can. Sorry.
In the finals?
No, they can't play each other in the finals. I don't believe. So
the semis.
Yeah,
they can meet in the semis.
I don't even know how the playoffs work. It like all these divisions. So like,
I was gonna say we should. We'll come up next show we'll come on before the playoffs start, and we'll put our brackets. You guys can take a peek at that. We'll put our money where our mouth is, and put a couple bets on the line for you as well. I'll tell you, I did take the Leafs a couple spots before the season started. I got them at 13-1 odds. So pretty happy about that pick. I feel pretty. It's a nice one. Be a nice thing to see the Leafs win the cup and win a few units there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. There's a few other things I want to talk about tonight, but I'm not sure if we need to get into it. The playoff stuff is good. The Raptors, I don't know if we end kind of on a down note if we start talking about the Raptors, I guess.
Yeah, it's getting a little late here. If we start talking about the Raptors, I'll probably go to sleep mid-episode here. So let's not do that. Let's keep the momentum going a little bit. And I just want to, we'll just let everyone know that we'll do a playoff episode for sure. Beginning of round 1, we'll come out with our sleepers, who we like and who we like for each round and break it down. You know what? That's what we'll do. We've never done that. We'll break down each playoff matchup. And give our insight. Me and James will have a couple little friendly wagers, and just to make it a little fun. So,
and if you guys want to get on, we'll do a playoff bracket, a MoneyLine playoff bracket. Put have a win. The winner can come on the show, talk about their picks.
Yeah, and how easy it was to win the pool against us.
Yeah, the
But
bunch of idiots, two
yeah.
idiots.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, that'd be kind of interesting, James. And we're all about changing things up for sure. But let's touch base a little bit on the Washington Capitals and the New York Rangers. I know this has been a pretty hot topic, and James, I know you've been part of some discussions over it, but you hadn't seen the play prior to just minutes before here,
Yeah.
where and if just to update everyone, Tom Wilson had I don't want to say punched, I don't want to say cross-checked. I really
Ragdolled would be
yeah,
the term.
you would have to check it out yourselves to form an opinion. But I do want to ask you, do you think the NHL got it right with a $5,000 fine?
I find that weird. You know what I mean? It's a very minimal fine, and I get it. I think the only my opinion on it is the only reason that it's even discussed and mentioned and anything even comes of it is because it's Tom Wilson, and he's a multiple offender. He's his name's there. It's lit up. The guy. They're just waiting for him to do something wrong. So that would be my guess on why anything at all was done on it. Now, there's been, like you said, we are our little sports chat group. There's been a lot of comments on it, a lot of mixed opinions. I kind of don't side on either of them. Panarin made a big mistake by jumping on Wilson's back. Like, you better, little guy, if you're gonna hop on the horse, you better hang on for dear life. And I get it. He was just trying to help out his buddy and slow him down, but yeah, he literally jumped on his back like he was gonna ride a bull. And you grabbed the bull by the horn, man. he got stung there pretty good. But like you said, I don't. It wasn't like a vicious thing. Somebody gets on me, I'm probably gonna chuck him over my head. Like, I don't know. The punch was like you said, it wasn't a full out sucker punch to the face or anything. It was more of a shot kind of the shoulder. The most unfortunate thing is that Panarin was severely hurt, I guess. Now, and I don't know if this they're not making the playoffs anyway, right? I don't believe.
No.
So the end of his season is a very minimal, the end of the season for him is only 2 games.
Yeah, and I could argue this one, if I was in court either way. Do I think $5,000 was a weak fine? Maybe, but what are you going to give him, 1 game? A lot of people want to see Wilson suspended for the rest of the playoffs, like regular season and playoffs. And I'll be honest, when I saw it the first time, I was like, whoa, as if he did that. But you break it down, he maybe he shouldn't have done what he did. And the punch, everyone's like, oh, to the back of the head. It was more of a jab to the shoulder. So I think I would have been okay with a 1 game fine or suspension.
Mm-hmm.
But it trickled over into tonight's game.
Yeah.
Which, what, I haven't seen this in a while, but I call it a line brawl. But as soon as the puck dropped, all forwards were fighting, and they were good fights. They were chucking them. So that was nice to see. And, Tom Wilson, first shift, and Brendan Smith of the Rangers, good for him. Brendan Smith, tough defenseman there in New York, coming to his teammate Panarin, and he went right after Wilson. And Wilson kind of wasn't expecting it to be at first, I don't think, which is kind of odd because he should have. And it was a good fight. I would say the upper edge went to Wilson. Interesting part was that Wilson left the game with an upper body injury at some point. Whether it's just the coach saying, you know what, the game was full of fights. I think they hit triple digit in penalty minutes in the first period.
Wow.
And things, kind of cooled off. But, another thing I want to mention about this is, before the game and stuff, and we saw it all over Twitter today, but George Larocque reaching out to the Rangers saying, sign me to a one day contract because he wanted to fight Wilson. And I thought that was the best thing. George LaRocque's been retired for a few years, but he's willing to go out there and, chuck him with Wilson. And you know what? We were talking about it briefly before we came on here about Wilson is, he's one of those guys you want on your team. He's tough. He can score.
Yeah.
He's just gets into the corners, but you hate to play against him, right? So I'm kind of rambling on here a little bit about Wilson. I'm a big fan of him, personally.
He's like, well, we just said it right before this comment started. It's like he's like that guy in the playoffs, man. Like the Wilson factor. Like he makes a difference. And,
absolutely. And if the Leafs have to play Washington at some point, I don't like him at all. So we'll see what comes of it for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love the LaRocque thing. If I'm New York, I'd probably do that. That'd be a fun little publicity thing. And why not throw him out there at this point of the season? Why not?
Exactly.
It would have been cool to see.
Oh, exactly. And interesting too that the Rangers fired their GM today.
Yeah.
I don't know if it had anything to do with anything like that had been going on, but you would think maybe, or was it just bad timing for sure? So,
and that's kind of an interesting one too. I know that people are hot on the Rangers, and they're should be an up and coming team. But I don't know if anybody was really expecting them to be too good this year. Like they're very young. They got a lot of good young talent emerging, and hopefully we'll be all right. But I didn't really expect much of them this year. So I think the firing is kind of interesting. It's not, to me, it's not like they underachieved this year. Maybe they expected a playoff spot, but it's a very young and up and coming team, right? I think they're a few years away from being a contender.
Yeah, I have to agree with you for sure on that one, James. So.
Yeah, interesting move. So I think on that note, we won't talk about the Raptors or the NFL draft tonight. We got some exciting stuff with the NHL playoffs. The NBA playoffs should be exciting, but the Raptors are going to be in a bit of a we'll just talk about that for 2 seconds because they're in like the worst possible spot right now, sitting just out of the play-in and the playoffs, which is also going to hurt their lottery pick. And it's just nothing really exciting to talk about with the Raptors, I guess. They had a couple of nice wins there, but just enough wins to take them out of that bottom of the league, but not enough to put them into the playoff run. And
we're kind of looking at probably a top 6 pick. I don't know how. I just don't really have much to say about them. I haven't been following them as much as I should be. They've been got a couple guys there that have been following a little bit. Trent, obviously, who I've been really liking. And Birch, I've been seeing this guy play center. Seems to be solid, much better than the Aaron Baines experiment, which I really was liking this guy. I picked him up in a couple of my teams off the waiver before the first game, and I'm like 2 weeks in. I'm like, he'll turn it around. It's just a new team, and I got nothing. So,
I do like that. I think that they made some good moves. Interesting. It's going to be a whole new look likely next year. A few decisions that need to be made, but I think there's still a pretty good nucleus there, but I think that they're going to need to do something fairly big come the off season. I just think there are a few like pretty key pieces away from anything. They're just they're sitting in limbo right now as the team looks, in my opinion. I think they're going to need to do something pretty big.
And we're going to lose, what's his name as well, probably Lowry. I'd be surprised if he came back. So, you're right. They need to do something for sure.
So it'll be interesting. I don't know. I'm not quite too sure. But, in Masai, we trust. The guy has worked magic before. He's pretty much, since he's come in, been able to keep that team. Like this is going to be probably the worst finish since he's been there, I think, right? Had they missed the playoffs since he's been the GM?
I don't know, to be quite honest. So,
all right, but anyway, I trust his decision making and what happens there. Funny to see Nick Nurse have a losing record after such dominant, performances a couple of years in a row. Just
Right.
weird. It's weird to. It's not. This is not a custom for the last few years for the Raptors to be in this situation.
Yeah, you're
So,
absolutely right for sure.
so yeah, we'll see. But we got a lot of other fun Toronto teams to talk about, and
Yeah,
yeah,
and just did a quick update. The Jays are now 2-2, but our buddy Reese McGuire's up to bat. So we could stay tuned here for this big at bat. See if he can make contact.
do you want to give us? You want to give us the play-by-play,
No,
or
no, 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 that's okay. But yeah, that would have been funny if like right on cue he hits like a jack. We're gonna have the
crush this one?
sports on in the background, so if like game something happens, we're like, whoa, yeah, they got an RBI single, like, but yeah. So
Well, once the world opens up, we'll run the show from a sports bar, and we'll just have a good time, and maybe we'll do one in Vegas with the ticker going behind us, get some bets
that
going.
that'd be
We'll
awesome.
do
And
we'll do it right.
breaking news: Reese McGuire struck out.
Strikes out
So
on a foul tip. Yeah.
yeah, he did too. Oh, that's
There
awesome
you
that
go,
you had it.
Reese.
Yeah. So at least he's keeping up with Danny Jans in there. He would make him proud for sure. So
Yeah. Who are we gonna put in? I can't believe the Kirk thing, man. Like, can we just get a break? I'm just hoping. Like you said, we're sitting at 500 right now. Hopefully, we get all these injuries out of the way, get nice and healthy. I still see this team as a playoff team, and if healthy, this team could do some damage. They could be very, very good. There's a lot of talent there, and hopefully, people get healthy and we can make some magic happen. But let's try and get the win today and go above 500, stick up there, and that AL East race is going to be tight, man. It's going to be fun.
yeah, absolutely. And I think they're only like one game back right now of the wild card, which there's going to be tons of team in contention this early, and 3 games back of Boston. Boston surprised me a little bit to be leading the division. And I think by like 2.5 games. So they just always find a way, like even though they weren't. Hey, JM is in the house. Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, it's weird to
Um,
not see you on here, Josh. Waiting for the
uh,
comments the whole
I
show.
was wondering, I think we were trying to wind down the episode, but we got Josh on here now. So we'll
Yeah.
get some comments going here, Josh. And, Josh, hopefully I just want to ask you your opinion on what do you think of the Wilson. Um, I don't want to give you my opinion, but what did you think of the Wilson Ranger shenanigans earlier this week? You could type it in if you want. And yeah, me and James are just giving updates here on the Jays game. Marcus Semien has struck it as well,
Holy
so
moly.
we need to get some contact here and get the ball on the field if we're going to win games. So
Yeah,
this
it's
would be. Oh, you know what we haven't done in a while, James?
our picks.
Yes,
Yeah, we need some picks here.
I'm gonna load up. Um, I've been doing well on my picks here, so I take this stuff very serious, and I have a new idea. But I'll talk to you what I want to do about our picks after. I don't want to go live and have breaking news leak before we've talked about it. But I have a good little idea, and I think you'll buy into it. We'll have a little fun with it. So, I am going, and this is like I'm just going totally off the board here. And sorry, I'm looking at tomorrow's ball games. That's what I'm doing.
Jeez, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go, and we don't know what the over is, but I'm thinking I like the Minnesota Twins tomorrow against the
Okay.
Texas Rangers.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me jot this down.
Oh yeah, don't worry, I'll
Natty's
text this to you.
picks.
Yep.
Okay. The Twinkies.
Yep.
Okay.
And ooh, I'm gonna go with. Oh, I don't want to do that. No. This is a lot of pressure, man.
Why? You've been doing it
Ah,
for 5 years.
probably 25, more like it
Well,
instead of.
more, yeah. I mean, you've been doing it on the
But
show for 5 years.
I got jump sports, just the Twinkies, and then I'm gonna jump over to the NHL because I know there's gonna be a beauty game going on there that I'm
Oh,
just
yeah.
gonna jump all over and s- send all the bananas or whatever in.
Son of
Um,
a-
Send the bananas. Oh yeah, we got to find a pointless game. Hey, you know what? We got to give credit to Raymond Maurice calling the Buffalo Sabres win the
Thank
other
you.
night.
Yes, I meant to do that. Thank you for bringing that back up. Yep.
So I got to tell you a true story. I suffered a big loss Monday night. We won't talk about that. As I'm thinking of what to wager on, someone else, and I don't know if he would want me saying his name. He says, take Buffalo. He said it before the game. I have a feeling about Buffalo. So I was looking at the odds at the end of the second period. There was a bunch of games done, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to play 3 or 4 of these teams that are down by 1. It was paying 6.25 for Buffalo to win at that point because they were down 2-1. I believe another game, and I want to say someone else came back, and it was paying like 4.9, and they were only down 1. So this might be something I look into a little bit because those are big odds to hit on for sure.
I love making those bets. I did it in that soccer game. I think I told you. Told you guys it was like a 20-1 odds. I'm like, well, I'm gonna take this. They're down 1-0, or it was tied even. It's like it's paying 20-1. I'll take that, and it paid off. I love those odds, man. Sometimes you got to take them. Sports are sports. Things happen, right?
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Josh said minimum 2 games, so I think a little bit of a disagreement on stuff there, but
no, he's not. He's not too bad. I did say 1, but he is saying minimum. So we could have Josh in here for a debate.
I just tried to send him the link to bring him on, but I sent him the wrong one. So, and I can't search around for it.
Oh, that's always fun. But you know what? I was thinking this could be another. Who was it? Between Edmonton and Calgary, Tkachuk and Zach Kassian, and. We thought that rivalry would have been huge. Why did they play each other 9 times? The first game or second game, maybe, and we haven't heard anything. They're like, yeah, we're over this. It's COVID. We're done. So, but yeah, I'm gonna get Josh in here. I'm gonna send him the proper link. So
there you go. Hey, we got a guest, guys. An hour in, we're bringing in a guest.
Who knows? I don't even know what I'm doing here, but we'll get chatting here.
Send him a link. So yeah, we got some games tomorrow, like you said. I like this. I'm looking at that. We got 3 Toronto teams. There's been a few times, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't been wagering on sports much. Took a few of the teams to win some championships after like around Super Bowl time, the beginning of the year. I did take Vladdy to win the MVP before the season started. So couple fun little bets there. But there's been a few nights when I've looked at the Toronto teams and like them all winning, which happened a few times. And tomorrow might be one of those nights for me. Go with the Leafs, the Jays, and the Raptors. It might be a night for me to take an all Toronto day. I got them all right here. So I think that I'm going to put maybe drop a little tenner on that and see what happens.
Yeah, you know what? I like it. I got the Twinkies down there, but I'm going to add I'm all about the puck line, but I'm going to take the Boston Bruins tomorrow. They will be a favorite, but I like it. I feel like the Rangers played an emotional game tonight, and I just think they'll be exhausted tomorrow. We'll see Boston come out of there with 2 points for sure.
Now you mentioned the call by Raymond, which again, great call. He did say that in our little line, take Buffalo tonight. The odds, I think, were Buffalo are like 3+ They were paying pretty good. And then the story behind it, which I had no idea of, is that they had a goalie that made his professional debut, or not professional, but his NHL debut at 28 years old, a journeyman, ECHLer, and got the dub, which is kind of cool. Another good story.
I don't know if I'm saying his name right. But Michael Morier, I believe his name was. So good for him. And it just proves that, if you're dedicated and committed to the game, that, your time could come for sure.
Definitely. And well, right on cue, speaking of your time could come, Mr. Mayu is joining the podcast. Welcome. And now we got all 3 of us here. Here we go.
Gentlemen, how are you?
This is awesome, Josh. And I got to tell you, I'm looking for a good debate on the wrestling match that occurred the other night between Tom Wilson.
Before that, looking great. You got the green screen behind you. This is perfect. This is.
I gotta get how do we get the green screen?
Can you throw some Safari background here? I don't know if you guys can do that for me.
I think that you have to do it. Let me see. Let me see if I can do something here.
Well, Let me try some unfinished basement background. Hold on. All right, there we go.
Oh yeah.
Go back to the green screen. That was good.
That is awesome.
You just
I actually
ate
thought
the
it was.
whole
I actually thought it was a filter, man.
Yeah, no, it's for my son's camera. He got a green screen thing, so he can do some funky things with it. So
That is awesome. So, Josh, question though: Did you see the highlights of anything tonight?
Nothing tonight. Nothing
Okay,
tonight.
so just to update you, the Rangers and Washington game, line brawl, 1 second into the game, as soon as they dropped the puck. So
nice.
it was good old fashioned. Wilson wasn't on the ice for that. I think we saw Carl Hagelin was one guy, Garnet Hathaway. But yeah, it was some good little fights. And then Tom Wilson, very first shift, got jumped. Well, I don't want to use jumped, but Brendan Smith went after him, and it was a pretty good fight, but I would say Wilson got the upper edge. Yeah. And I think there was over 100 penalty minutes in the first period. But things calmed down. And, Wilson left the game with an upper body injury, which I'm assuming they want to keep him for the playoffs. So,
yeah, it makes sense.
But, what else were we talking about, James?
Well, I just wanted to make a little update here of something for me is the Anaheim Ducks have prevailed over the St. Louis Blues tonight and won in a shootout. I'm loving this team, man. Like they are hurting. They had a lot of they've been roughed up and just not looking very good the last little while. But I think I mentioned before Hayden Fleury. I really like that pickup. Zegras is up now. The kid's gonna be an absolute machine. And Troy Terry, Max Jones. I like this team, nice and young and playing well. And I think they got. What's that? Oh yeah,
Josh Mahira.
yeah, he's a solid little man too. Great name.
Great name.
But yeah, I think that they got a lot of upside going forward. And just looking at some of the scores tonight, Ottawa pulling the upset against Montreal. I think Montreal is going to get spanked tomorrow. I might take the puck line on that one.
Look at that. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, and I just think it's a long shot, James, and I mentioned it to you quickly before we came on, the small percentage of Winnipeg winning the cup. It's like a 0.3% chance that, I don't know, I think if you have Connor Hellebuck, who didn't he win the Vezina last year?
It was last year, the year before, yeah.
And I'm just thinking, they got a bunch of pieces there that, if they get clicking.
Well, they're up 3-0 right now.
Well, they've been in a huge slump, though. But I think as a long shot, it's got to be worth it. And maybe while we're chatting here, I'll find something with odds on here, because when I looked briefly before, I couldn't find it. So
yeah, so you can find the odds. That team again, they have the makeup to do it. I don't know if they're deep enough. Them and Columbus, right? We're kind of hoping that crazy Laine Dubois trade was gonna, ruffle some feathers and shift gears for them a bit, but it hasn't really done anything for either of them. And it's just kind of odd. That trade was still so funny to me that the second and third overall picks from the same year got traded for each other, and the third pick came back with a draft pick. So the second pick actually was worse. Just weird.
Jeez.
So it's funny what I just found here, because we were talking about it earlier. I found some odds from April 5th. Yeah. And no, it says it's updated today, which is weird, but it's still got the Florida Panthers at 18 times. So I want to look into this, because I don't know what I was talking about earlier. So yeah.
Well, you should take it now.
Absolutely.
You should jump on that.
I feel like it's weird, because it said updated May 5th, but it was from April 5th. And yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm on a different sites figuring it out, but I want to make sure I know what I'm talking about before I proceed. So yeah.
All right. Well, before that, I kind of jumped into this Wilson debacle you guys were gonna get into, or was that done?
Well,
I didn't really say much. I was just
my biggest thing. Obviously, you know how Wilson is. It's a cheap shot, right? And it's not needed. There's physical things happen in the game, but that was the biggest thing. Is just him, like that little switch in his head that just went, bam, right? And it just erupted. But it was just that little thing that he didn't need to do. That's what I don't like, and that's where whether suspension or not. He was fined, sure, but that kind of behavior is not needed in the game.
Oh, Dad!
I didn't know we had referee Ron Finn with us here tonight, but
Mr. Belting.
Yeah,
I can't even be serious right now. But I thought the fine was an insult.
yes,
Peanuts.
Yeah,
and it's the maximum under their CBA. I thought they had to give a 1-game suspension because history, and it's not needed in the game, and will not be tolerated.
exactly.
Finger.
We know what we got to start using the finger in the show now.
I just got to be serious for a second.
Yeah. So whenever James or anyone's talking now, I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
There's a good point coming.
Especially because they played the next game against them, right? That something's going to happen. It's going to happen anyways.
And it did.
And it did, whether he's there or not usually, but he definitely played a part. So.
That's a good call, actually, too. I think that for that reason alone, the 1-game suspension would have been fitting and would have made sense.
Yeah.
And
Without pay.
Can't get another.
Yeah, you're right though. And you know what? Talking about that, did you see the tweet today, Josh? I don't know if it was in one of my chats, but George LaRocque asked the Rangers to sign him for a 1 game.
Yes, I heard
awesome.
that. Yeah, I heard that.
Can you imagine he laces them up or something? So
that'd be neat.
Yeah.
Signs Sean William Scott for a game.
So what else do we want to ask Josh? Josh got on a little late. Maybe we'll get the time and coordinate it better with Josh. Actually, we will, because you know what, Josh? We mentioned that we're going to do a first round, break down the matchups and have a little wager, whatever.
I like it.
I'm sure we'll run something in our pool or in our chat to, which, it was nice to see Josh get on the winning board there not that long ago.
Yeah.
You can talk about his victory. What was it? His first win in 12 weeks? So
13.
It was 13. Lucky 13.
Whew.
So, and where did we come up with the name, the 5-hole or whatever?
I did. I don't know.
Was it? All right.
Yeah, Josh did.
Yeah, I don't know, just a 5-hole. It sounds kind of weird, but
yeah, I think I'm more excited about that than anything.
Good job. Good job on your 5-hole.
Got to win the 5-hole here this weekend.
Sounds good. It does sound great. And not that I want to give him any more credit, but congratulations to Raymond, who's now the official leader. I will say I did take a week off, so there's an asterisk beside Raymond's lead right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, good for him. I don't know where he gets it, but it's he's doing a good job with that.
Just so everyone knows what we're talking about, is we do a little fun Saturday, Sunday, or this week it's just going to be Saturday, where we predict the winners of every games. And the 5-hole it's the Grand Salami is what it's technically called, which is the total goals of all games. And Jamie, you hit it 1 week, and was it Raymond?
Yeah,
which is pretty cool once you're getting up to 92 or 100 and something goals to win that. So it's a pretty cool thing. So. And of course, we always sprinkle a little cheddar on it, so there's a couple bucks involved to the winner. So,
yep.
The winner gets something, folks.
Oh man, cool. Well, anything you want to say, May, since you came on here? And
not really. I was hoping to be on a little earlier or come in and watch you guys earlier, but some other things came up.
You want to say happy birthday to your wife, maybe?
Happy birthday to my wife, 40th
nice.
Birthday. And I'm not sure if you guys mentioned it, but our late great Aaron Duval birthday today.
Yeah, we did a little tribute at the beginning, which was nice. And he always called he referenced us as the 2 idiots talking sports. So, it was hard to see that come up on Facebook so close to first thing this morning. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So. But so we definitely, James did a nice little tribute at the beginning, a little moment of silence. And
nice.
It's 2 + 1 idiots talking sports now. So
let's bring one more in.
Yeah. But yeah,
2 idiots and a moron. We'll change the name.
There you go.
So, but yeah, I think it'll be fun to do a little breakdown of the first round and the matchups, and our predictions. And
Absolutely,
so,
we definitely have to do that, and we will.
So let's do this early. Let's go. Let's each take a cup winner right now. Just who you got off the top of your head, and and then we'll do our breakdown. But let's hear it. Who you got?
Mine's easy.
Go ahead.
I'm going with Florida. I'm going with Florida Panthers.
Sticking with it. You said it.
Yeah, I got to.
Okay.
I want to say I'm going to go with the Leafs.
Nice. I love it.
Go with the Leafs. Now, I think they're going to make it to the Stanley Cup final.
Oh, can you imagine
they're going to lose it in the finals?
They're going to make it. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but they're going to make it.
Okay. To the finals, though?
To the finals. They'll make it to the Cup. Whether it happens if they win or not, they can make it to the Cup.
I'm getting goosebumps. I think they're going to win the Cup this year, man. I think it's going to happen. And I think all those ding-dong naysayers will be like, well, it wasn't a real season, and there'll be all kinds of excuses, and the league was different. But I think they're going to win the Cup this year. I'm feeling it. Check it. Put it beside the box.
The COVID parties for the Stanley Cup.
That'll be the fifth wave. And, that'll be the end of us all.
No, probably. Yeah, it might be the ninth wave. So yeah. But
no, they obviously we know what team they have now, and their chances have never been better. But there are some good. There's when you I think I talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, Jamie, where it's like you've got you're all the Canadian teams that are used to playing to them all season in that style, but you look over, you got Florida, Canes are still going amazing this year.
Vegas would be
another big one
you want to watch out for.
And you look at say Pittsburgh, even the Caps, the Leafs can beat them, and they're doing really really well this year as well. But still, there's different talent out there and different teams when you play against them.
Josh, is Florida in our division? Like I know they're not in the Canadian division, but when would the Leafs have to play Florida? Would it be in the finals, or could they meet in the conference finals? I can't remember with Florida.
It depends on how they changed it. If normally they would meet in the conference finals.
Yes, in the conference.
So they'd be the semifinals.
Because I was thinking, man, how much fun would that be? Toronto and Florida in the finals. Actually, you know what? I'd love it if the Leafs made it to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
but
that'd be cool.
I think our only toughest roadblock is Washington, and
it would be. Yeah,
I think we can beat Washington in a 7-game series.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like you talked about, we already kind of touched on it because Washington's been there and they've done it, that you kind of got to give them a little bit of the edge. But right now, man, I do not see a team even close on paper to what the Leafs have. Like not even like worlds apart, man.
So, okay, I haven't looked at the playoff structure at all. It's Josh, and maybe you can confirm. Is it looking like they're playing the Canadians first round?
Right now, as it stands, they would. But you said the Jets are up right now.
Yeah. So I don't want to play. I don't want to play the Jets first round.
After last night, the Jets were only up by 1 point over Montreal.
And Montreal lost
1 point.
Montreal lost to Ottawa, and Winnipeg went. This is going to get interesting down the wire here.
Mm.
Now, am I mistaken? There's no play in this year for the NHL.
No.
Play in. Oh, like it's like top 4 and that's it.
So one plays 4, 2, and 3, and that's throughout all 4 divisions. Okay.
Yeah. So we're looking at Montreal and most likely Oilers, right?
Wow.
We take Montreal out, and it's probably going to be against the Oilers in that final there. Then we go all the way to the States.
That would be a fun matchup to see, though. Toronto and Edmonton.
Oh yeah.
And I know we've had their number against Edmonton this year. Like, didn't we beat them those 3 consecutive games where we almost had shutouts by 3 different goalies? But
yeah.
I don't think we'd have that luck again. But that would be fun to watch. Toronto and Edmonton, 7-6 games.
Now you're talking about 2 notorious playoff dumpsters both winning around here. So I think that the long shot in itself is them both winning the first round.
Yeah.
Well, I think I really don't want to play Winnipeg first round. I'd way much rather play Montreal. Winnipeg scares me.
Speaking of Montreal, I needed to give a shout out to Colefield. That kid's good. Finally calling him up, and he's sniping. And man, that kid, I said it today. He could be he might be a little playoff hero there. And Montreal is again, that's another team that you might be a little worried about in the playoffs. All these teams, they all have the talent. And again, I just think Toronto's way too deep. I just think they're way too deep. Like, you can take guys in and out of that lineup, and they're strong. They're too deep. They're 5 lines deep.
So 2 things. So Cauliflower, yeah, great kid. Good couple goals.
Much better than Broccoli.
Yeah, much better than Broccoli. Yeah, no, great overtime goals of that kid. It's really good. It's good to see. It's nice to see that. 2, Montreal. We'll see Montreal versus Toronto. Montreal is smart, right? It's smart hockey. They did you see what they did in overtime the other night? So it was Matthews and Marner were on first in the overtime. When Montreal got the puck, they stayed in their own zone for just over a minute and a half. They had the puck. They went to come into the neutral zone, turned right back around, back into their defensive zone, and they would not do anything to give the puck to Matthews or Marner.
Huh.
So then they went off. Tavares came on with Nylander. They kind of did a little something. They got the puck back. Matthews and Marner came back on. Back to the exact same thing. They kept the just back and forth, and would not attack into the offensive zone. They just kept doing that. And then Matthews was standing there. They're like just skating around. He's like, so he'd just get off. So then that the other guys would come on. So it was smart, right? Because they know if you give them the puck, there's a greater chance. Danger, exactly.
I wonder if other teams will catch on to that, because that's definitely a smart tactic for sure.
Yeah, it worked.
And that's what we're saying, right? Playoffs is a whole nother beat. It's a different sport when it comes to playoff hockey. Like, it's a whole other game. So again, the difference is that the Leafs have like 3-4 lines that can score. You know, that Matthews, Marner, whoever they put with them is going to be absolutely tough to stop. And then you're going to have Tavares, Nylander, and whoever again on the next line. Just so deep, man. I can't get over it. Like, I just, it's an absolute dream scenario to be Sheldon Keefe right now, because like, it's like I would just be having a heyday with who you'd be playing, like putting the lines together with. It does suck because somebody's got to sit that doesn't deserve to, but man, that's going to be really interesting to see. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's been a long time since, if you look at the Leafs, we've got skaters, we got shooters, we got toughness. It's the whole package.
And Josh, just so you know, and I mentioned earlier, is the one guy that I'm missing on this team is Zach Bogosian. And it looks like he's going to miss the first round.
Really, eh?
Yeah, because it said on the 23rd of April, he'd be out 4 weeks, which brings us to the end of the first round. So, but I've been impressed with Sandin. Sandin has come back. It seems to have some confidence. I know they bring 2 different elements, but he has impressed me for sure. So,
oh yeah, big time. He's a stay-at-home guy too, right? You know that he's going to be back there, and you can leave him because he's going to be there. He's going to try to keep guys out of the way, and yeah, definitely a solid pickup.
You know what has surprised me this year is the Morgan Riley's numbers, or lack of numbers. I kind of expected him to put up some big numbers point wise this year, and just like not really seeing the numbers from him. That kind of surprised me.
No, and I kind of agree with you. I did expect him to have a lot more, a lot higher numbers, and he just doesn't seem like he's jumping up in the rush as much. And I don't know, maybe he's aging. No, I don't think that's it.
But it could be a good thing, right? Maybe this is a good thing. Because him playing a little more defensively, it's it's worked out. The Leafs look good. They're hard to beat. Their goals against is a lot better this year.
Watching the games, I'm finding that I bet you if you look at his shots say this year versus last year or prior, I bet you his shots are down. Because I know I'm screaming at the TV going, shoot, Riley, just freaking shoot. And he always passes. So that's one thing I think he's not going out. He's looking to control the play opposed to try to create something.
Yeah. And I guess, maybe that's a problem. The power play was just stagnant and disgusting for so long. That probably has something to do with it too, right? Because I think Riley was putting up a lot of power play points, and you kind of expect that. And their power play, you wonder how that could be possible. But I guess, again, you take the good from that is 5-on-5, they've been dominant. So it's very exciting to see these guys. Matthews and Marner putting up two of the best seasons in Leaf history. Pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I guess on that note.
No. I was just flicking. I just wanted to update us that the Jays are down 3-2 right now. So,
man,
don't worry. Well, Vladdy's going to hit a eighth inning home run. Okay.
Vladdy heroics coming, friends. But yeah, on that note, I think, like we said, we'll finish off the NHL regular season Saturday, and we'll come at you early next week, maybe Sunday. We'll see, get this playoff rundown set up. Maybe Josh will come back on. 2 idiots and a moron. We'll get like I said, put our money where our mouths are, get our bets down, and tomorrow I'm calling it the All Toronto picks. That's where I'm going. The Sabres are a fantastic dog against Pittsburgh tomorrow. Just the odds are just fun. If you like those, there's some pretty big odds tomorrow night. If you guys like those odds, which I always like to take, there's some nice big odds going on the plus line. So take a look at that.
Nice. Well, we'll check them out for sure.
All right, guys. As usual, thank you for being on here, and Aaron. Miss you, bro.
Yep. Amen, Aaron.
Hey, man. We'll talk to you guys soon, and
thanks.
Have a lovely night.
See you guys.
See ya.
Scotty.